You might know Eric Yuan as the CEO of Zoom Technologies, the organization that created the most well-liked video chat application during the epidemic. What you might not know, however, are the difficulties and rejections he encountered on the way to become who he is now. There is much to learn about Zoom's 52-year-old founder and CEO, whether it is about his childhood, countless rejections, or his refusal to give up. This is the story of a person who made Zoom possible and overcame every obstacle to ensure that his goal came true. Eric Yuan spent his adolescence being a typical teenager in the city of Tai'an in Shandong Province, China, where he was raised. He spent a lot of his time socializing with his friends and participating in late-night poker games. He didn't begin to have a sense of what the future may entail until he began picking up the newspapers that his father would bring home every night. He first learned about Silicon Valley from the newspaper articles where he fell in love with the tales of booming high-tech giants like HP and Apple. Despite prioritizing online poker above studies, Yuan eventually enrolled in Shandong University of Science and Technology, where he majored in applied mathematics and minored in computer application. During his first year in college, Yuan had to take 10-hour train trips to see his girlfriend. He was motivated by this to develop video conferencing software to make it simpler for him to see and communicate with her. This is when the concept for Zoom initially entered his head. Eric later married this girlfriend when he was 22 years old and was still working on his master's degree. Eric's parents were geology engineers, so after college he relocated to Beijing to pursue a master's in geology engineering at the China University of Mining and Technology. His light bulb moment, however, occurred in 1995 when he was sent to Japan for a 4-month training program by the firm he was working for at the time. Bill Gates gave a keynote address at an industry show, the man claims. I was so inspired by his speech and I thought, wow, the internet is the future. I better embrace the first wave of the internet revolution. That's why I decided maybe I should go to Silicon Valley, take a look. However, he was unaware that the path ahead would not be as simple as he had anticipated. His hopes were almost dashed when the US authorities denied him a visa. He reapplied but once again rejected. This occurred 8 times in a row until Yuan managed to enter the US in 1997 after 2 years of struggle and his 9th attempt at obtaining an H-1B visa, which permits American businesses to hire foreign labor. He finally arrived in Silicon Valley on a sunny California day in August 1997, feeling inspired by the prospect of realizing one of the business ambitions he had been pursuing since he was a little boy. He wasn't a fluent English speaker, but the one skill he possessed, the ability to write computer code, got him a job as an engineer at WebEx, a maker of video conferencing software. Yuan's career began as one of the initial 20 workers at WebEx, a startup attempting to address the at-the-time novel issue of how businesses could communicate more effectively via the internet. After Cisco purchased WebEx in 2007, Yuan was appointed corporate VP of engineering and in charge of the company's collaboration software. However, as WebEx was integrated into the massive communications company, Yuan became aware of a problem: the product. Based on his experiences at WebEx, he was aware that if a new option addressed the issues that had long plagued video conferencing, users would embrace it. In his opinion, there was only one approach to turning video conferencing into a fun activity. In order to create a product that gave the finest possible version of the experience, and not one that was merely serviceable, you had to hire the best engineers you could find and devote all the time you could afford to the project. In 2011, he suggested developing a video conferencing system that is compatible with smartphones. However, the concept was not well received at WebEx. As a result, Yuan made the decision to leave his position at the company and founded Zoom Communications. Yuan engaged a team of 40 Zoom engineers in 2011, and over the course of nearly 18 months, they created the basic framework for a native app with specifically designed access points for every possible browser. And by 2014, the company had 10 million users overall. This increased to 40 million users by 2015. The same year, Zoom received $30 million in Series C venture capital funding from backers that included Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong and Jerry Yang, the creator of Yahoo, and thanks to a $100 million investment from Sequoia Capital, the company's private market valuation surpassed $1 billion for the first time in June 2016. However, there was no way Yuan could have anticipated what would happen in March 2020. Everyone who was fortunate enough to remain at home during these harrowing early days of the pandemic would recall trying their best to improvise a social and professional life using the technology resources at their disposal. There were Zoom happy hours, Zoom birthday parties, Zoom bachelorette parties, Zoom dates, Zoom concerts, Zoom religious services, Zoom therapy sessions, and an entirely new range of experiences focused on primarily existing in video chat windows, funny Zoom memes, gag Zoom backgrounds, and funny Zoom names. While trying to provide K-12 schools with free access at the same time, Zoom ended up supporting more than 125,000 institutions in 25 different countries. A small business that was targeted towards adoption in big businesses found itself unexpectedly swamped with people sampling the service for free, as well as thousands of new paying clients. Analysts were even so surprised by the company's quadrupling of revenue and 90-fold growth in profit. According to a Barron's article during the COVID-19 pandemic, Zoom grew its user base 30 times, and in terms of Zoom's revenue in the first quarter of 2021, the communications technology business also saw a rise. After 3 consecutive quarters of growth above 350%, Zoom recorded sales of $956 million, up 191% from a year earlier, according to the report. Its CEO, Eric Yuan, was awarded Time's Business Person of the Year for 2020, and according to Forbes, had a net worth of $16.5 billion that same year. However, the considerable demand for his company's products fell as lockdowns began to ease globally, and his total wealth declined by $4.6 billion in 2021. As a result, his net worth is now currently about $5.6 billion. However, the business is still doing well, and he has come a long way from his humble beginnings. Or what do you think? We would like to see your responses in the comments. Please remember to subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Bye!